Hello, hello. Today is July 9th, 2021. It's episode 7 of the Sport Fanatics podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm J. Mike.
Today we've got the Stanley Cup finals are over with. Lightning victorious. NBA finals still going on. And we're going to touch on the MLB All-Star game and home run derby a bit. But that's for later. For now, here's the theme song.
Oh.
Well, hey, let's start with that Stanley Cup wrapping up. Tampa Bay Lightning beat the Montreal Canadiens 1-0.
Battle of the goalies
Yeah.
between Andrei Vasilevsky and Carey Price for sure.
What a change of pace from those first few games where the Lightning were scoring so much.
Yeah, credit Carey Price for sticking in there, really keeping that great Tampa Bay lineup off the scoreboard the last two games, game 4 and game 5.
Yeah, he really stepped up his game for sure.
Yeah, he definitely kept Montreal in it for sure. It's just
It was a problem of scoring for Montreal.
yeah, and credit Vasilevsky, who is your Conn Smythe Trophy Award winner,
Which makes sense.
which is of course the MVP
right.
of the Stanley Cup final.
I mean, he showed out in this series. So.
Also, something else on Vasilevsky. This was his 5th straight series clinching shutout, dating back to last season, Stanley Cup final game 6, when the Lightning defeated the Dallas Stars 2-0.
Well, that's clutch right there. That's what you need.
Let's see, May the 26th of, and I'm going to this year's playoffs, of course, but this was May the 26th, first round, game 6 versus the Florida Panthers, 4-0. In that game, June the 8th, second round, game 5 against the Carolina Hurricanes, 2-0. June the 25th, Stanley Cup semifinals, game 7 versus the Islanders. We forget that.
Yeah, it was a close series.
And ironically, they won 1-0 in that game as well.
Oh, okay.
So you got back-to-back series clinching shutouts, 1-0 victories.
And that's where that MVP performance comes in.
And this also was very, very unique as well. The only goal that was scored in this game came from a David Savard pass to rookie Ross Colton. Ross Colton became the 7th rookie to score a cup-clinching goal. Only one other rookie has done so in the past 90 years, Chris, and that was Mike Rupp with the New Jersey Devils in 2003.
Wow. Okay.
So the only goal that was scored in the contest came from the Tampa Bay Lightning rookie.
Well, welcome to the team, I guess. That's got to be amazing. Can you imagine, though, being a rookie and you're in that position and you're able to score, make the only goal that wins the game, wins the series.
Yeah.
But the championship for your team, that has to be an amazing feeling.
No doubt, because we all know that Tampa Bay is a small market, and it's incredible that they have won back-to-back Stanley Cup.
Well, I was about to say,
so you obviously know that they're fixing to break this team up because they're not going to be able to afford to pay a lot of these guys to stick around and really become a dynasty. But you expect so you obviously expect some guys to move on to different teams in the offseason, but also you expect Ross Colton to really step in for a starting job in that Tampa Bay rotation next season.
Oh yeah, I mean those young rookies are invaluable to a team like Tampa Bay. But that it is amazing how, I mean, they've built a little bit of a dynasty here. It's just unfortunate that, like you said, they probably won't be able to keep that together.
Yeah. Also of note, Nikita Kucherov became the sixth different player in the league's expansion era, which was from 1967 to 1968, to lead the Stanley Cup playoffs in points in consecutive years, joining some elite company here, Chris.
Yeah.
Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah.
Guy Lafleur, Mario Lemieux, Rick McLeish, and Phil Esposito.
Wow. And so, yeah, I don't know when his contract is up.
That's definitely a guy that's more than likely going to move on.
Yeah, he's going to want a pay raise.
Another guy that might move on, which this guy right here is absolutely loving his life right now, Pat Maroon, who became the fourth player in NHL history to win the Stanley Cup in 3 straight seasons with 2 different teams. He joined Ed Litzenberger of the 1961 Chicago Blackhawks. He also played for the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1962 through 1964. Ab McDonald with the Montreal Canadiens from 1958 to 1960. And also played on the the same 1961 Chicago Blackhawks team as Ed Litzenberger. How about that? And then Eddie Girard, 1920 to 1921 with the Ottawa Senators.
It's going way back.
1922 and the 1923 Senators.
Wow, okay. So, yeah, keep an eye on where he is next season. Maybe that's your championship winner next year.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Maroon was on the I believe the Blues won the 2019 Stanley Cup. So Pat Maroon, of course, 2019 St. Louis Blues, and then back-to-back here with the Lightning. Tampa Bay's 3 Stanley Cup wins now, 2004, 2020, and now this season in 2021, trail only the Detroit Red Wings, who had 4 1997, 1998, 2002, and 2008 for the most titles among all teams since the Lightning entered the NHL in 1992 through 1993.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I remember when they were on fire in those years. So, and of course now lately it's been the Lightning, which is a team that you wouldn't have really expected to get this dominant in that Tampa Bay market.
But how about this, Chris? In the past 10 months, Tampa Bay pro sports teams have completed 4 seasons. The results: 2020 Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. The 2020 Rays went to the World Series. 2020 Bucks won the Super Bowl, and now the 2021 Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup.
Gotta step up your game, Rays. What you doing? Only going to the World Series and not winning it. Got to join the rest of the teams in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but obviously they went up against the buzzsaw, and that was the Los Angeles Dodgers, who were the best team in baseball last season. So,
but yeah, what a time to be a fan in Tampa Bay.
No doubt, and I do expect the Rays to make another run to the World Series.
I'd love for them to
in late October
to take out the Red Sox somehow. Get them out of the way.
Yeah. That should be an exciting finish later this season in late September, right before the playoffs begin, to see who's going to end up winning the division. And we'll obviously see who makes moves at the trade deadline. But
man, think about like 15 years ago or so, the situation in just the sports world. Imagine thinking that the teams in Tampa Bay would be winning championships, let alone competitive. Because remember there for a while, of course, I know that right around 2000, the Buccaneers were good, but there was a stretch there where Buccaneers were pretty bad. The Rays were, of course, terrible.
Buccaneers made a coaching move, though.
Oh yeah.
That they needed to on the offensive side of the ball, because they had that great defense that was constructed by Tony Dungy at the time during his tenure in Tampa Bay. But they did not have the offense consistent enough to really help them win a Super Bowl. And then they made that move to John Gruden, who they got from the Oakland Raiders after that disappointing Tuck Rule game year before in the playoffs. But Gruden comes in with his offensive philosophy, and he's able to work with Brad Johnson, Tampa Bay quarterback at the time, just make him consistent enough, not turning the ball over. And they finally were able to get that offense in check, and then the defense, of course, did their thing en route to that dominant Super Bowl win over, guess who? Oakland Raiders.
Yeah.
Gruden's former team.
Yeah.
And credit Gruden, because I remember watching a America's Game, which is a football documentary about each Super Bowl winning teams' season, and during what was it, 2 weeks before the Super Bowl that they have off? Yeah, something like that.
They get a weekend off.
Gruden the whole time was prepping that defense on what his former QB in Oakland, Rich Gannon, was going to do. I mean, every practice, and they showed footage of it. And so, of course, that Tampa Bay team was well prepared. I just don't understand. Callahan, the coach at Oakland, knew that Gruden had the 4-1-1 on Oakland offensively.
Right.
It didn't even bother to come up with something invigorating or new to try to counter that tough Tampa Bay defense. So that's why some coaches get paid the big bucks in pro sports, and some get fired after 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, well, and of course the Buccaneers came up there, and then the Rays, we know that they've gotten better over the past decade or so.
And they've done a great job, Chris, of scouting and developing their talent in the minors, which is something that you have to do as a small market team.
Oh yeah, when you can't keep your big stars all the time,
and you can't add any during the off season as well. Now, maybe when you get better, you could trade for somebody that's going to become a free agent that off season coming up. Well, so that way you don't have to roll out the red carpet full of money to keep him. But obviously those small market teams, and credit Tampa Bay for the job that their scouting department has done, and then their development of their minor league players.
Well, and then of course, similarly with the Lightning, who to come full circle, they've done a good job getting the talent there,
and a rookie scores the series clinching one and only goal of the contest the other night.
Right. So
to win the Stanley Cup.
And I don't know at what point, I mean, who knows if they keep this winning culture in and around Tampa Bay, maybe they won't be as much of a small market.
Yeah, that's a good point, Chris.
I mean, they may be a smaller media market, sure, but if their fans are involved and devoted to these teams.
And of course, it also helps with the state of Florida being as big as it is. So obviously, growing each fan base could have a lot to do with that.
And it's
for sure.
Definitely a fact that it seems that Tampa Bay has had the best fan base overall of the cities in Florida. Now, of course, the Miami Dolphins have a history, but Buccaneers usually have a pretty good crowd, and
it certainly helps that you have the greatest of all time at quarterback.
Yeah, he'll draw in your fan base now. Of course, the Lightning, the fans seem to really like their Lightning. Now, the only
they pack the place out in the playoffs, Chris,
which is just incredible to see. You wouldn't really think about hockey in Florida, but that's a whole nother thing.
And now they've won back-to-back Stanley Cups. So
yeah, and then they just got to sort out their baseball stadium and get that in a better place.
That's true.
A better venue, and I believe that the Rays will show up. The Rays fans will show up more once they get that sorted out. Because I mean, it'd be great to see these teams. I mean, no one wants to see one team dominate forever, but you also hate to see championship-winning teams have to sell off talent that they brought in and developed. So hopefully some of these teams, like maybe the Lightning, won't have to sell off as much as maybe worried.
And it's very unique that Tampa Bay has now won consecutive Stanley Cups, because we all know hockey as one of the sports where teams can get hot at any given moment. Each year in the Stanley Cup playoffs, as we saw St. Louis do it a couple years ago.
Yeah, get some upsets going, Cinderella stories.
But I know it had been a little while since maybe the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think, were the last team to go back to back. It was either them or the Chicago Blackhawks in the early 2010s. But it was either one of the two franchises. So it definitely has been just a little while since a team has won back to back. But
I'm gonna double check real quick.
But in hockey, it's normally one of those postseasons where the team that gets hot ends up winning it all. Kind of like in college sports with especially college baseball and college basketball, with both of those incredible tournaments that they have.
Yeah, it was the Penguins, 2016, 2017.
I thought so. I thought it was the Pittsburgh Penguins. So yeah, it's been a couple of years, but
you wouldn't have expected
Tampa
Bay years ago. You know, you used to Pittsburgh and Chicago and those teams, Boston Bruins, those sorts of franchises.
And prior to 2020, they hadn't won the Stanley Cup since 2004. So it had been a little while, but now they're.
Oh yeah, and that was right before the lockout. Right before the.
Wow, that's right. Completely forgot about that.
Yeah, that would have been right before that. I'm looking here. They won that year 4-3, so a 7-game series.
Yeah, that's right.
It definitely wasn't this year. It was. I'm glad Montreal got at least one win at home there for their fans, but
no doubt. And once again, credit Carey Price. for keeping the Canadians in games, especially games 4 and 5. It's just
there's only so much he can do.
Andrei Vasilevsky is an absolute beast of a goalie, just plain and simple.
He's a robot back there.
He's incredible, everything. And that's the reason why he's won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
Oh, yeah, well-deserved, and well-deserved to the Tampa Bay Lightning franchise.
Yeah, congrats to them and their fans.
Yeah, back-to-back years, Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup champions. Well, that's one postseason series down, but we have another one going on. The NBA Finals, they're well underway. We've got 2 games done. The Suns won both. Coincidentally, they scored 118 points in both games.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first one they won 118 to 105. Last night they won 118 to 108.
Double-digit wins for the Suns.
Yeah, both times. A little bit surprising. The Bucks started strong last night.
Yeah, I believe they had at least a 9 or 10 point lead. And then the Suns just make that great run to really get out in front of those Bucks.
And then they never really gave up after that, the lead never gave up after that. It stayed about the same.
And credit the Suns, because every time Milwaukee tried their best to make a run, and it definitely got back to at least only a 3-point lead for the Suns. The Suns continued to hit big shot after big shot to really pull themselves away en route to that Game 2 win last night.
Which has really been their story for a lot of these games in the postseason. They've been the strongest, most consistent team for most of this. Of course, the Bucks, they were strong too. They did a good job of keeping ahead, They did a good job of keeping leads coming into this series, but the problem is they're just getting outplayed by the Suns right now. Great performances by Chris Paul, especially in Game 1.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Booker, that was
my X factor in this series.
He had a great game last night.
Great game last night. In the first half, only scored 10 points, 2 of 5 from the field. 2 of 5 from 3-point. And in the second half, he scored 21 points, 5 of 7 from 3.
Which is that's hard to beat when you're shooting that well from 3.
So a combined, you put both halves together, 31 points overall. He is one of 4 players under the age of 25 now with at least 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a NBA Finals game in the last 25 years. He joins Kobe Bryant, who was the youngest player to do it at 22 years of age, Russell Westbrook at 23 years of age, Dwayne Wade at 24 years of age, and now Devin Booker, who is 24 years of age as well.
Wow, okay. Yeah, some great company. The thing is, they're just playing, yes, we have Chris Paul and Booker playing great, but the thing is, they're getting a great contribution from all those starters on that Suns team.
Oh, no doubt. A guy who stepped up big for them, who was their second leading scorer, Mikal Bridges, last night.
Yes.
27 points, 8 of 15 from the field. Great night out of Mikal Bridges, who, let's face it, the Suns' depth is starting to take a hit. Dario Saric is now out for the rest of the NBA Finals. One of their big men.
And they only had 16 points from the bench last night.
Yeah.
So those starters are really having to
carry the load. Sure.
Yes.
Let's see. Another guy that went down last night for the Suns, Torrey Craig, who we are uncertain of his status right now, but obviously question going forward is the Suns don't have enough depth on their bench. I know they had to play Frank Kaminsky, the former Wisconsin standout. They had to play him a lot last night because of Saric's season-ending injury. Milwaukee has the more depth out of the two. So the question becomes, as this series now switches to Milwaukee, Milwaukee is really going to have to adopt what the Memphis Grizzlies used to do, which is that grit and grind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about really taking it to the opposing team, and they especially need to do it now with the Suns being low on depth right now.
Well, yeah, they're just going to have to try to outlast the Suns, basically, to your point. So.
And I do not expect these great shooting performances for the Suns to continue going forward. And then that's how Milwaukee can get back in the series.
Here's one problem for Milwaukee, though. They're going to have to get a better
contributions.
Yeah, more
especially
all
from Holiday.
Because like last night it was all on Giannis, basically.
Oh, no doubt.
Let me see. Yeah, he had 42 points.
42 points
last night.
15 of 22 from the field, which is 68%. 11 of 18 at the line, which, let's face it, he was the only one getting fouled last night because he was the only one active.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
4 assists, 3 blocks, 12 rebounds, played 40 minutes in the contest. Wow. The rest of the Milwaukee Bucks team combined for a total of 43 points. He almost...
he's 1 point behind.
He almost tied and or outscored the rest of his team. Also, the rest of the Bucks, 19 of 52 from the field and 2 of 3 from the free throw line. So, obviously, Drew Holiday has been non-existent since Giannis has been back, which kind of figured that would happen with chemistry and rotation. But lineup-wise.
After a good first game, we didn't see a whole lot out of Middleton.
Sure didn't.
Last night. And that could have been a difference in that game. If Middleton had a similar performance to the first game, it could have been at least close.
Yes.
And
Lopez and Portis are not attacking the paint like they did against the Hawks. Now, once again, Atlanta did not have the size to match up with them in games 5 and 6.
Yeah, so not quite the same matchup.
And, of course, Milwaukee killed them on the boards and in the paint, which led to their series win over the Hawks. Now they're going up against DeAndre Ayton, who has done an incredible job keeping them from getting their points in the paint. And also credit the Suns' defensive strategy, really slowing down Middleton and Holiday and PJ Tucker. So obviously that's going to have to continue for the Suns, but of course, once again, depth is a major concern going forward for this Phoenix Suns team, having to rely too much on their starters.
Yeah, it's the good thing for them is we're approaching the end of the season. Obviously, they just need to win 2 more games. So,
and they still have home field if it.
Yeah. So
if this series does extend late,
it's not and also they've had a chance to sit back between these series because they finished games
And that was
thoroughly.
that was obviously huge too.
Yeah.
Which is why they've had two great performances thus far in this NBA Finals due to rest. So that, yeah, Chris, that obviously helps this Phoenix Suns team out as well.
Right. So I say that to say that I don't think fatigue will be an issue as much as they'll be behind an 8 ball if any of their starters are just having a bad night. If they're cold,
yeah,
then like you say, they don't have many people on the bench to bring in.
And Mikal Bridges with that big game last night, obviously he's going to have to keep playing at this pace at a high level to go along with Booker, Ayton, and CP3.
And then who knows where they are if they, hopefully there's not another injury. But if another injury happens somewhere, they're really going to be in a bind. So they've got to hope they stay healthy.
No doubt. And I just credit Giannis for really toughing it out and playing great basketball. You obviously can tell that he wants it right now. And I remember during a timeout last night, he goes over to the Bucks bench and he's trying to get everybody riled up, getting everybody fired up to get going, get back in that game last night, and it just didn't happen for the rest of the Milwaukee Bucks squad. But you figured that he was going to be very limited of what he could do after hyperextending his leg and all,
but no, he showed out.
He has. So the rest of the Milwaukee Bucks team is going to have to step it up for sure, because they are in a 2-0 hole. And
like you said, that stat where he just scored 1 point less than the rest of the team is just incredible.
And the only teams that have come back from down 0-2 to win the NBA Finals are the 1969 Boston Celtics, the 1977 Portland Trail Blazers, the 2006 Miami Heat, and the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers.
Well, there was a big gap there between the 70s and 2000s.
Yes.
Hadn't happened very much at all. It feels like it's happened more often in baseball.
Yes.
So it's interesting.
Hockey.
Yeah, and hockey as well. Yeah, hockey seems... It's almost like no lead is safe.
Yeah. But there's only 4 teams that have done it, so we'll see if the Milwaukee Bucks can get back in this series and end up doing it as well.
And, I mean, obviously they've made it this far. We know they're a great team, but they feel like they ended that series, their last, the conference championship series, they ended that so strong as a unit. I feel like they can get things back together and even up this series at home in Milwaukee. It's just that the Suns are just playing so good right now, even with their limited bench.
And they're hitting the shots that they need to.
Yeah. So I really don't... I'm not sure how I feel about my prediction of a 7-game series that the Suns win.
I just don't see that continuing as the series goes to Milwaukee. And you factor that in with not enough depth right now, and Milwaukee could definitely win these next 2 games. They're in Milwaukee and get back in this series.
Well, it's not like they've been blown out. Now, they were outplayed pretty well in these 2 games, but it wasn't a blowout.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, with the way that Phoenix has been shooting.
Yeah, and their starters have had to play so much.
Yeah.
In these first 2 games of this NBA Finals.
Just get some help for Giannis.
Yeah,
and
Middleton and Holiday.
Yeah, be a solid unit.
As we've stated before, if all of those guys are one cohesive unit, clicking on all cylinders, They're tough to beat,
Yeah,
Chris.
hard to beat them. Well, I really hope.
Got to figure out something.
I really
Mike Budenholzer.
I really hope that the Bucks can get back in this thing.
I think they can. I think they can.
Yeah,
they've got the firepower to do it. It's just a matter of
execution. Yeah. So I'm feeling pretty confident they win one of these two games at home.
No doubt.
Whether or not they win both of them will honestly, it's not do or die yet, but that'll really determine their chances in this series.
Yeah, and if Phoenix can just steal one in the next two, they've got it in the bag, my opinion.
Phoenix, the Suns are feeling great if they just win one of these on the road.
Yes. So they just need to do what they did against the Clippers, where they stole one on the road and wrapped it up. So just need to carry that over, I guess I could say, and steal one and then finish it out.
Probably at home. Like if they do that, I think they'd probably get it that first game back in Phoenix.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how I kind of feel this is going to go. I feel like Milwaukee will win one of these and Phoenix will win the other. Which way, I don't know. Maybe the Bucks win this one coming up, and then the Phoenix wins after that. But
yeah, I like the Bucks in Game 3 for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
so I will pick the Bucks Sunday night, 8:00 on ABC.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a good prediction. But I feel pretty good about this Phoenix team, and they may ruin my original thoughts of this being a 7-game series, but we'll see. I'm still, like I said earlier, there's part of me hoping that the Bucks can win both of these at home to really make this it'd be a really close series from then on out, where they just play one game in each place to close out. One in Phoenix, one in Milwaukee, then the final one back in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's like I said, Phoenix has fairly easily won both games so far, but not in a blowout way. The Bucks have hung around, so it's been competitive, just not quite as close as we thought it would be.
And Suns have made the shots down the stretch in each games to close it out.
Yeah, exactly when they needed to, and they've played a little bit better as a team.
I just hope they can keep up, because they certainly don't have much depth going forward in this series.
No, if they start, if any of their starters start to falter, that's going to kill any momentum they have.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, well, hey, we've been talking about college baseball a lot the past few weeks. We're finally graduating. We're going to focus on some MLB. First of all, we've got the All-Star roster and Home Run Derby participants. We know who they are now. I guess we'll start. Well, let's take a look first, I guess, at the American League. So, one player who's been fun to watch this year, pitcher designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani.
Yes.
It's just been I love
leads the league in home runs.
And he's a pitcher too. It's just incredible to see a pitcher designated hitter just doing so well.
Yeah, our version of Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Well, that's what it makes you think of. Yeah, like
very unique too.
And he definitely
it does not happen at all.
Definitely deserves to be a part of this All-Star team for the American League.
No doubt.
Catcher, Salvador Perez. And then first base, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Second base, Marcus Semien. Third base, Rafael Devers. Shortstop, Xander Bogaerts.
And that's two teammates that are on the Boston Red Sox together.
Well, there's a lot of, it's a lot of American League East already. We got 2 Toronto Blue Jays, 2 Red Sox.
Which, speaking of those two, Chris, Bogaerts and Devers will be the first teammates to start at shortstop and third base in the MLB All-Star game for the American League since your old pals Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez did it in 2011.
Yeah, I figured those probably were the 2 last guys to do that.
Yep.
And then in the outfield, we got Mike Trout, of course, from the Angels, Aaron Judge from my Yankees, Teoscar Hernandez from Toronto, and of course Shohei Ohtani, which we already mentioned, from the Angels. So that puts of the position players, we've got 4 or 5 from the American League East, but not many. It's not too swamped with Yankees this year, which I know will make a lot of fans happy. Starting pitchers: Shane Bieber, Garrett Cole, Nathan Eovaldi, Kyle Gibson, Yosei Kikuchi, Lance Lynn, Carlos Rodon.
Lance Lynn, former Ole Miss baseball standout.
That's right. It's nice to see him.
He's on my Mount Rushmore of greatest pitchers to ever pitch in Ole Miss baseball history, for sure.
Oh yeah, well, he was great, and he's still proving how great he is. So that's.
And he has a very low ERA. I can't remember what it is, but it's obviously the best of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like with Lance Lynn, he's aging like a fine wine.
Apparently so.
It just seems like he gets better.
Maybe
as he gets older.
Maybe he's getting better control with his pitches,
or he's drinking out of the fountain of youth for one.
But then to finish up here for relievers, we got Matt Barnes, Aroldis Chapman, who's kind of had a tough couple of months here lately. He
has, but I've got a soft spot in my heart for him.
Oh, well,
for sure.
I do too, but hopefully he gets things together here for my Yankees. Liam Hendricks, Ryan Presley, and Gregory Soto. So that's the American League starters. Of course, obviously some great players there. It's nice to see some people voted in representation from like the Royals and, well, really that's you got a bunch. You got 2 from the Angels, 2 from Boston, 2 from Toronto, and then a Yankee, and then you got the Royals catcher Perez. So.
What I do like though is that there's at least one representative from each team.
Oh yeah, through all these.
At least one.
Yeah. So
it's just the better first half teams are going to get,
of course,
the more players,
and it also is a bit of a popularity contest.
That too.
So we'll see. Pretty good team for the American League. You want to go over the National League team?
I would be delighted to, Chris.
Yeah.
Let's start with your NL All-Star starter, starting with catcher Buster Posey of the San Francisco Giants. First baseman from the Atlanta Braves, Freddie Freeman. Second baseman from the Pittsburgh Pirates and former Mississippi State Bulldog standout, Adam Frazier.
Mm-hmm.
At shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr., the young superstar of the San Diego Padres. Third base starter will be Nolan Arenado of the St. Louis Cardinals. Another young, blooming star in the making, outfielder Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Atlanta Braves. Second outfielder will be Jesse Winker of the Cincinnati Reds. And the final outfield position goes to Nick Castellanos, another Cincinnati Red.
A lot of red in the outfield.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And those two have definitely carried the Cincinnati Reds in this first half of the season, where they're really starting to play great baseball.
We just got to see if they hold on this year. They have sort of a precedent of
Falling.
After the All-Star break kind of falling off a bit. So, yeah, we'll see if they can keep it up.
But, yeah, those are your National League All-Star starters for the All-Star game.
Well, then let's see who's pitching. See, Corbin Burns, Yu Darvish.
Oh, gosh, that's still upset that the Cubs traded him in the offseason when they desperately need starting pitching right now.
Jacob deGrom.
No shock there.
Yeah,
lowest ERA in all of baseball. And I mean, it's low.
Kevin Gausman.
He has really revived his career in San Francisco, Chris, after a rough start of his career in Baltimore. So Gausman has really revived his career in San Francisco. So congratulations to him for that, and an all-star selection at that.
Jermaine Marquez.
Oh, Herman. Yeah, Herman
Marquez
of the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah. Trevor Rogers, Zach Wheeler, Brandon Woodruff.
Another former Mississippi State standout.
Yeah, I knew I recognized that name.
Who's actually just up the road here from where we're at. He's from Wheeler.
Oh wow! Okay,
and we're recording in Boone, Vegas. So just a couple of miles away.
And then your relievers: Josh Hader, Craig Kimbrell, your boy,
who's more than likely going to get traded either before or at the trade deadline, unfortunately.
Yeah, your boy for now, anyway.
Gosh, I'm going to hate to see him go. He's done such an incredible job for my Chicago Cubs closing games out. It's just unfortunate he hadn't been able to do so as of late, as the Cubs have lost 11 out of the past 13 games that they've played.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, 12 out of the last 14, I should say.
And Mark Melanson.
Melanson.
Mark Melanson.
Trust me, I used to pronounce it the same way.
What in the world? And Alex Reyes.
Reyes, yeah.
Alex Reyes.
Cardinals, yeah.
So that finishes up your pitchers and relievers for the National League. A little bit more spread out representation for the starters, I think, in the National League. Now, of course, we have reserves from a bunch of different teams, but that's your starters. And then the Home Run Derby bracket. First seed, of course, is Showtime himself.
Yes.
He's got 32 home runs, so that makes sense. He's going to be going up against Juan Soto.
Yeah, that's a 1-8 matchup in the bracket. That will be on the left side of the bracket.
Okay.
So 1-8 there, with Ohtani going up against Soto.
And then you got Joey Gallo versus Trevor Story.
Yep, 2-7 matchup.
And then Matt Olson versus
Trey Mancini of the Baltimore Orioles, who is a cancer survivor now.
Oh, right.
That's right. He beat cancer right before the season.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
So just an incredible story.
He'll be the sort of a favorite.
The fan favorite.
Yeah, that'd be a great story to see him come up and win this thing.
Also, the other fan favorite's going to be Trevor Story, of course, with the contest being held at Coors Field in Denver.
Yeah.
So you're going to see a lot of people rooting for Trevor Story for sure, and then also for Trey Mancini. Just an incredible story of him beating cancer, and I was just so happy and thrilled whenever I saw that right before the major league season began.
Yeah, it's something to come back. It was colon cancer to chemotherapy and come back and be this strong.
Yeah, and I love the fact that he's going to be in all of the All-Star festivities, going to get to be a part of it all. So that's awesome. That's awesome to see.
To round it out here is Salvador Perez versus Pete Alonso,
who is the reigning defending champion after winning it the previous home run derby in 2020.
That's right.
So the reigning defending champion will be.
It actually doesn't happen all that often.
It does not. To
repeat or even win twice, strangely enough.
And I'm not going to lie to you, if I would have gotten the call to be a part of the home run derby and I'm a part of a contender right now, I would drop out.
Yeah, it seems to have some bad, like it's almost like it ruins their swing or something.
Yes.
For the second half of the season.
It does. You see it every season, Chris. So I'm looking right here. The only two that I would have an issue going into the second half is Pete Alonso of the New York Mets and Matt Olson of the Oakland Athletics. Obviously, they're two best hitters.
Yeah, you don't want them
on their respective teams.
You don't want them to get in a funk.
Yeah, you don't. You don't, because you're no doubt wanting to have a great second half and clinch a postseason berth for sure. Get you in those playoffs where anything can happen.
Well, the favorite going in is definitely Showtime.
Oh, no doubt.
And it's going to be, I hope they don't put these balls in a humidifier. I hope that they're launching these suckers in Denver.
Launching them to Mile High Stadium.
Yeah.
Where the Denver Broncos play at.
Or they can hit them 2 miles high.
Yeah, that too. Join the Mile High Club.
But we got to keep an eye on those feel-good stories.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, I'll be rooting for Trey Mancini.
Yeah, Mancini. We'll have to see how he does, and it'd be just incredible if he was able to pull this out. But we just wanted to mention the players involved in the All-Star game and the Home Run Derby. We may mention the All-Star game a little bit more next week because we'll have a show Tuesday right before.
Yes.
So we may go into a little bit more depth then, but for now, just that's your players in that. Something else we want to focus on, though, is the draft. It's coming up this Sunday, right around the corner.
Sunday, 6 o'clock on MLB Network and ESPN. So whichever network you prefer to watch draft day coverage, you can watch it on MLB Network or ESPN.
And you've been keeping an eye on the mock draft.
I have. And let me tell you, Chris, it has changed a lot.
Oh, wow, okay.
Since right around the time of the college baseball postseason,
right,
and now after, it has changed. It has changed a good bit. And all of a sudden, you're starting to see in this top 10 mock draft that I'm fixing to reveal, you're starting to see a lot of high school players could very well get picked in the top 10. Looking here, it's 6 out of the 10.
When it's always
could be selected in the top 10.
You never know. I mean, usually a lot of times those guys will go straight to the MLB, but I mean, sometimes they will go to college first. We'll just kind of see how these guys, what they decide to do.
Oh, yes. Yes, and let's start with the number 1 overall pick, which will be selected by the Pittsburgh Pirates. This mock draft has them taking Marcelo Mayer, a shortstop out of East Lake High School, which is in Chula Vista, California.
There's one of those high schoolers you were talking about.
Number 2, they have the Texas Rangers drafting Jack Leiter, the right-handed pitcher from Vanderbilt.
Which,
no surprise there.
Yeah, you expect him to be right up there.
At least the top 3 pick for sure.
Yeah.
Former son of former Major League Baseball pitcher Al Leiter.
Right.
At number 3, the Detroit Tigers. They have them selecting another high school shortstop, Brady House from Winterboro High School in Winder, Georgia.
Okay.
Red Sox at number 4 taking another high school shortstop.
Yeah, a lot of shortstops here.
In Jordan Lawler from Jesus Prep High School in Dallas, Texas. At number 5, they have the Orioles selecting Henry Davis, who is a catcher from Louisville Cardinals. Number 6, they have the D-backs taking the other Vanderbilt ace in Kumar Rocker.
Yeah, again, no real surprise there.
So you definitely predict and expect both stud Vanderbilt pitchers to go in the top 10 for sure. It's just a matter of where they're selected, of course.
Right.
At number 7, they have the Royals selecting another high school shortstop.
Popular this year.
In Khalil Watson out of Wake Forest High School in North Carolina, not to be confused with the University of Wake Forest.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
You expect him to go pro, not to go to college, especially not to Wake Forest if he definitely is a...
I don't think he'd be playing baseball at Wake Forest if he did go to college.
Yeah, and quite frankly, Chris, I wouldn't want to play for a team known as the Demon Deacons myself, so I'd rather take the money and run, if you know what I mean. At number 8, they have the Colorado Rockies selecting high school outfielder Benny Montgomery from Redland High School in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. At number 9, they have the Angels selecting an Ole Miss baseball commit.
Yeah, we'll see if he actually chooses to go.
And his name is Jackson Jobe, the right-handed pitcher out of Heritage Hall High School in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So it's going to be a big decision for Jackson Jobe if he's taken in the top 10.
And I know that these players often get traded around before they get to the majors anyway, but the biggest factor may just be how he feels about the organization he gets drafted by. If he likes the organization and feels that they can bring
him up, develop him, and bring him up quickly, which certainly would happen for sure.
Yeah, if he feels like
the Angels,
they have a good development program, like the Angels, then he'll probably go pro. But if it's somebody that he doesn't feel that comfortable with, he may still go to Ole Miss. So we'll just have to see what happens.
And then rounding out this top 10 mock draft, they have the New York Mets selecting Sal Frelick, an outfielder from Boston College.
So yeah, there's your top 10 projected players in the upcoming draft on Sunday.
Lot of high school talent.
Yeah, which is kind of like taking me back to
a lot of shortstops.
Yeah, it reminds me back in the 90s, it felt like we had a lot of high school players that would go straight. I mean, it happens every year, but to have this many, usually there's more college in there.
And you certainly, with these high school shortstops in this top 10 mock draft, of course, you expect a few of them to go through position changes once they begin their minor league careers.
Yeah, I was about to say that's probably one reason why shortstop is so popular to draft. They can sort of move around the infield,
no doubt,
wherever you need them to.
No doubt, play third, second, maybe even first.
Yeah, if you've got one with a really good arm, put him at third. If you've got one that's
very flexible,
yeah,
you want him at second or short.
Right. And then if he is kind of having mechanical issues with throwing or something, put him at first. So there's really
and also especially some that are maybe 6'4", 6'5", you could put him at first as well at height.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes sense why there'd be so many shortstop, but it's still kind of funny to see top 10. There's 4 shortstops,
and 6 out of the 10 are players that are still in high school.
Yeah. So we'll find out
or have recently just graduated from high school, I should say.
Well, right. They're coming out of high school. They're not going through college. Unless they choose, like some of them here have gotten offers, and they might go. We'll have to see what they do.
Like we just discussed, at number 9, Jackson Jobe, who was an Ole Miss commit.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of,
which is part of the dangers of recruiting when it comes to college baseball.
Yeah,
you got to recruit well, but if you recruit too well, they might go straight to the MLB or straight to pro baseball and minor leagues.
Yeah, and you definitely expect a kid like a Jackson Jobe to go pro if he's selected in the top 10, because that's a lot of money on the table there
for sure. Yeah, and I don't fault them at all because I know injuries are a concern and all that type of thing. So get what you can,
and that's also another reason, Chris, that players have dropped in the first round of these mock drafts so close to draft day is because of injuries or mechanical flaws that the scouts have suddenly seen on film or that they remembered seeing.
They've been able
certain players in person that they've written down.
Yeah, they've gotten more scrutiny. And
so certainly it's better for the scouting departments of each franchise this year because they were able to see high school and college players compete this season compared to 2020 that did not happen. Those seasons were canceled. So scouts this year have had plenty of time to look at and evaluate players that they are intrigued of drafting this Sunday.
Well, and this Sunday we'll find out exactly who goes where and what's going to happen. So I'll be keeping an eye on that.
I'll definitely have my eye out on it for a few reasons. But I'm definitely looking forward to the 2021 MLB Draft Sunday at 6 o'clock on MLB Network and ESPN.
All right, we're going to wrap up with the random page of the day. It's pretty random today, I'll be honest. I'm not sure how much I can riff on this. It's the Charlotte Bobcats at the Philadelphia 76ers from March 27th, 2009. Bobcats won 100-95.
And the Bobcats are no longer the team in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's just so weird. They moved and the former New Orleans team,
the Hornets,
went up there, and now we have a team in New Orleans again.
Charlotte was the Hornets before the move to New Orleans, and once New Orleans decided to change their name to the Pelicans, it was a no-brainer for Charlotte to become the Hornets again, especially if you're Michael Jordan.
True.
Makes a lot of sense going by Charlotte Hornets, which I'm sure there's probably a fair share of Bobcats. in the Carolina.
Yeah, it's probably pretty common around there.
But yeah, Charlotte Hornets sounds a lot better, if you ask me. Wonder if Kyle Korver was still playing for the 76ers. And Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, Andre's here. Yes, he had 25 points in this game.
Yeah, well, that was back when he was the main scorer.
Yeah, it was basically between him and Young.
Thaddeus Young?
Yeah, Thaddeus.
Yes, I knew it.
Thaddeus had 21 points. Andre had 25.
And Andre had that great stint with the Golden State Warriors not too long ago, winning 3 championships with them.
That's right.
Three out of the 4 years.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remembered them winning, but I forgot he was part of that team.
Oh, yeah. So that was a huge pickup for Golden State.
Meanwhile, for the Bobcats, the main scorer was Boris Diaw.
Yep, Boris Diaw, who won a couple of championships with the San Antonio Spurs towards the end of their the end of that dynasty and the end of that incredible run by their big three, as they called it.
Also, Raymond Felton with 20 points.
Yeah, former North Carolina Tar Heel great.
And that's really the Bobcats in this game just played even though they had the worst record coming, like they were 32-40.
I wonder if Emeka Okafor, the number 1 overall pick of the Bobcats, was still on that team at that time.
He only scored 8 points, but he was here.
Which he had a disappointing NBA career.
Yeah, he only scored 8 points, but he was perfect from the field. He was 4 for 4.
I remember he played really great for Team USA when he was selected onto that roster.
Yeah, I remember that name now, actually, because I remember watching that Team USA.
Right.
And that's where I remember him.
But maybe it has to do with the limited talent on that roster, which is why Emeka Okafor never thrived in his NBA playing career. Maybe that had a good bit to do with it, but certainly he did have a disappointing career after being taken number 1 overall out of UConn by the Charlotte Bobcats. So it was just unfortunate that he didn't have a career like we all thought he would.
Yeah, and that just happens sometimes.
And I actually remembered Emeka Okafor being on the cover of NCAA basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
That's right.
He was on it. Kevin Durant was on one cover.
I remember Kevin Durant being on there.
When Kevin Durant played at the University of Texas.
I miss those college sports games.
Yeah, speaking of which, Chris, how about this? 8 years ago today, NCAA football 2014, the last college football game, was released.
Oh, wow.
8 years ago today.
Oh, man, it's such a good game,
NCAA
too.
14 was released.
It was fortunate that the last one was a really good game.
It was, and I believe it's next year that NCAA football is making a comeback.
Well, I haven't heard anything official. I'm hoping that they can with this new policy regarding players and being able to get money.
I believe they'll come out. They'll come out with it.
Hopefully, it's more like the old NCAA games and less like the current Madden.
Yeah, that's very true.
So that's the only thing that has me worried. But
I do expect them to for it to make a comeback next year.
Mm. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And
how about this too? The top ranked player on the video game was Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh yeah,
99 overall.
Yeah.
You want to take a stab at who was second best overall?
Manziel.
You are correct, good sir.
Hey,
you are correct.
About knock something off the out the window over here when I threw my arms up.
You nailed it, Chris. Johnny Manziel, who was 97 overall in the video game.
I'm surprised he wasn't like 98, honestly, but
Johnny Football.
there you go. Huh. Well, that's interesting. So I'm kind of glad we got off on that a little bit because, God, I had so much fun with those games. But, of course, the college basketball games, too.
And only that one time only college baseball game.
Well, it came out
in
2 years.
05.
It was 2 years. But
Oh, there was 2 years of the game?
But the
Okay.
first one is the best one because
Wasn't that one 05? NCAA college
so.
baseball
I think
05?
that was the first one.
They had the Texas player on it.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Very well could have been an Ole Miss player had they had beaten Texas in that super regional.
The problem with the second game was that they got lazy and they just kept the same players and ratings that were on the first game and moved them over to the second game, but just re-ranked the teams based on what the ratings were in preseason. So, like, the players were all wrong.
I'll tell you another thing I hated about that game was you had to basically move your thumb in a circle with the analog stick just to be able to hit on that game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You had to move it around and around and around just to be able to hit the ball.
Yeah, I hated that.
Game.
I'm pretty sure I changed the settings to like just do the normal push X to swing.
Right.
I had to change the settings. There was no way I was going to like do that every time.
But yeah, that when you first played that game, that's how it was, and it absolutely sucked.
It's like, no, thank you.
It sucked indeed. But looking back on it now, I wish we had a NCAA college baseball game too, because there wasn't a lot of them. But
no, I'm baseball, basketball, and football, the three main sports. I'd love to have those, and NCAA.
Yeah, basketball and baseball are now fossil fuels.
Yeah.
So,
well, we got off on a bit of a tangent there, but that's fine. That was fun. I didn't have much to talk about with the Bobcats and 76ers from 2009 anyway.
Oh, so. Yeah, I completely forgot about.
Yeah, that's where we were.
Forgot about the game. If you want to go back, want to go back to the game, we can.
No, I'm done. I just want to say the Bobcats won 195, and that's that.
Okay, I just wanted to see if I could get a couple of players right.
You did
from each
and you did.
squad because you and I both know right now I'm not looking at anything.
No.
Related. I'm not even. I don't even have what you have on that game.
Yeah, I have a computer in front of me right now to look at this, and J Mike is just sitting over there riffing.
I just have a great memory bank of where I can remember certain players that played on certain teams during certain eras or seasons, or just anything like that.
Yeah, and you got that right. But yeah, that was. If you want to check it out, March 27, 2009, Bobcats beat the 76ers 100-95. It's a little trip down memory lane. All right, well, that does it for today's episode of Sport Fanatics. We spent some time talking about the NBA playoffs, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that series continues in Milwaukee. Or what you got on your mind, J. Mike?
Well, on my mind right now, if you don't mind, Chris, I'd like to do just a few short shout-outs, if I can.
All right.
I appreciate it, man. Marv Albert, one of my favorite broadcasters that I have had the privilege of listening to ever since I really got into sports. He retired and wrapped up his illustrious career calling his final NBA game, which was the Game 6 Milwaukee Bucks win over the Atlanta Hawks that sent the Bucks to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, I saw you retweet about that the other day.
He retires with a 55-year career in broadcasting, and really, a lot of people forget this, but he was the voice of the New York Knicks there during the early stages of his career.
Well, it's a long time ago. He's seen so much.
Another thing a lot of people forget about his younger brother is Kenny Albert, who actually called every game of the Stanley Cup final.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah,
so
Kenny Albert was on the call for NBC Sports' coverage of the Stanley Cup
it's
final.
like a family dynasty going on for sports broadcasting here.
And also Kenny Albert does football play-by-play for Fox on NFL Sundays. But obviously Marv Albert was the voice of the NBA, and he had an incredible career. One of my favorite broadcasters of all time, and I certainly wish him the best in retirement. He absolutely deserves it. Yeah. And I'm sure he and his lovely wife will continue to enjoy each other's company, especially a lot more now that he has retired. But
yeah, classic voice. Hopefully he'll have a real nice retirement.
Yeah.
Enjoy
So
life.
I wanted, no doubt. So I wanted to shout him out. I wanted to shout out Nate McMillan, who was promoted just a few days ago to head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. So not surprising there. We knew it was coming pretty soon.
Right.
But Nate McMillan is now the head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. Congratulations to him. And for a remarkable turnaround and playoff run that he did, coaching up that young core of the Atlanta Hawks that are going to be around for years to come.
Yeah, that's an exciting future ahead there.
And my last shout out, Chris, I am definitely looking forward tonight to see Jacarius Clayton, the 6'5", 260-pound defensive lineman from Tupelo High School, to commit to the Ole Miss Rebels tonight at 6:30.
Howdy-tidy.
On his Twitter page. He's supposed to announce on his Twitter page. Okay. So, Ole Miss fans, former Tupelo High School alumnus, Tupelo High School students, if you're listening to this, I expect Jacarius Clayton to commit to Ole Miss tonight at 6:30.
Cool. Well, I look forward to seeing that. That'll be nice.
So those are my 3 shout-outs, Chris.
All right. Well, don't forget to follow us, Sport Fanatics, on Twitter. It's just at Sport Fanatics, just like the name of the podcast.
Follow us, people. Follow us.
Yeah. What's your handle, J Mike?
My handle on Twitter, since we're going to start with Twitter, going off of following Sports Fanatics, and please, to our loyal and dear listeners, please do not forget to follow us at Sport Fanatics on Twitter. But you can follow myself at J_Mike_Check, and that's also my Instagram handle. If you would like to follow me on Instagram as well, it's the same handle, at J_Mike_Check. And please feel free to add me as a friend on Facebook if you would like. My name is John Michael McBunch.
All right, cool. And I'm just on Twitter at Christopheles11, Chris Top Holes 11. That's where you can find me. But
it's not tadpoles, people.
Top holes.
Even though I'm sure there's some out in the pond behind you.
There's probably some out there swimming around. But that'll do us for this week. We'll be back on Tuesday. But until then, adios. Y'all have a great weekend.
Enjoy it.